Yo, what's going on guys, man, and welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be talking about how different focal lengths can really affect your image, whether that be photo or video. So let's get right into it. I feel like it just got dark in here. Unless it's me, maybe I'm tripping, but if it did, it's because the sun's on this side of my house now and there's a lot of clouds out and it's going back and forth, back and forth. So if it did get darker, that's because I fucked up and didn't shoot this when I was supposed to, so my bad. But anyways, I'm gonna preface this by saying that I did use two separate lenses for these scenarios or these examples. I used my own personal 16-35 f2.8 lens for those wider, close to somewhat mid-range examples shots, along with the 75-300 Canon lens. Those are both Canon lenses, but mine is a constant 2.8 throughout the entire lens, and that 75-300 is like a 4.5 to a 6.3. So as you're increasing your focal length, your aperture is going to increase as well. And there's nothing you can do about that for those constant lenses that don't have a constant or fixed aperture throughout the entire lens. But yeah, I have to let you guys know, and those are going to be linked down in the description as well. All right guys, so now we can officially really start this video. So I got my little notebook, I got my notes and everything I want to talk about within this video. So I got three different things I want to talk about for your lenses and how different focal lengths can affect your images. We want to talk about distortion, compression, and depth of field. So first thing first is this distortion. What is distortion? Now, how I'm going to explain these things, I'm not going to like make it super scientific. I'm going to make it as easy to comprehend and easy to take in as possible as a viewer. Distortion, man, I'm not talking about like, you know how if you're like super wide on the lens and you know you see like the walls are like super distorted. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about when you have a subject or whoever is in that shot, their face looks distorted. And when you're on a wider lens or wider angle, you can really see it a lot more. So for instance, 60 millimeters and 24 millimeters, you can see how long my face looks within these shots. It looks weird, it doesn't look natural. And that's what I mean by having distortion within your image. Now you may not be able to tell a significant difference between 16 and 24 side by side, but if you put 16 or 24 beside like 100 or 200, you can see a significant difference in how your images will look. Keep in mind that a lot of like directors and DPs, whatever, they do use a lot of wide angle lenses, like a fisheye lens, because that's the look that they're going for. So if that's the look you're going for, that's fine. But I recommend trying to stay away from getting up in people's faces for like a 16 millimeter lens if you can avoid that. There's no right or wrong way when you're using different focal lengths. Just know that it can have an effect. It will have an effect on your image. So just try to use things in somewhat of a correct way. And even if I move my lens to like a 16, you guys can see how wide this is. I'm not about to get super close, and then my audio might get jacked up, but I'm not about to get super close to my lens like some Busta Rhymes type stuff. But like I said, at different times and different scenarios when you probably want or should use a wider angle lens, it's just the look you're going for. Make sure you watch out for all that lens distortion. The next thing we got up is lens compression. Now pretty much what lens compression is when the background seems to look a lot closer to the subject or the foreground within that particular shot. And that's as simplistic and simplified of a definition I can give to anybody who didn't know what that meant. Now let's take 100 millimeters for example. You guys can see it looks like the background, if you can really see it, kind of blurred out, but you can see how it seems to be a lot closer than what it actually is. But you don't know that because you weren't there when I was shooting. But I know that the stuff behind me is way across the other side of the street. Now if we go look at 24, you guys can see how much further stuff is compared to where I am. And that's what I mean by lens compression. The background seems to be a lot closer to the subject or the foreground than which it actually is. And last but not least, I want to talk about depth of field. Now, as I mentioned earlier within this video, I did use two separate lenses. One was a constant 2.8 and the other was like a variable at 4.5 to a 6.3 as you increase your focal length. I think this kind of works out in my favor as I'm showing you guys these examples, because it doesn't matter when you're on an extended focal length. it looks like you're shooting on like an f2.8 or like an f1.8 lens because of how the lens compression and distortion all works together. And that's why you really see a lot of cinemas or a lot of movies shot at like 35 or higher, because you get a lot of good lens compression. Distortion looks a lot better, it looks natural. And if you wanted to go up higher to like a different aperture for these higher extended focal lengths, it still looks good. So that's why I think you see a lot of cinematic film shot on like 35 and higher. I think like 35 and 50 is like the middle point of choosing the most natural looking focal lengths. I tend to shoot most of my music videos at 35, or if I could go to 50, I would rent out a 50mm lens or a 24 to 70 and shoot between those higher end focal lengths. If I wanted to go wider or closer, I mean, that could be a look that I'm going for that particular shoot, but for the most part, I'm shooting 35 or 50 because it just looks the most natural in my opinion. All right guys, that is gonna be it for this video, a 20-minute recording. I messed up so much talking about what I was talking about. So hopefully this video is not too long, but if it is long, it's because I don't know how to talk. Everything's gonna be linked down in the description, camera and lenses that I use within this video, if you guys are interested in buying or purchasing anything that I talked about. But yeah, that's it, I'm rambling. If you guys enjoyed this video, hit that like button. If you're new here, consider subscribing, and I will see you guys within my next video. All right, my guys, peace.